The United States says it's foiled another terror attack on Kabul airport. Joe Biden launched a drone strike as the American troops killed on Thursday are brought home. And as the last British flights from Kabul return here, UK citizens and supporters left behind are still asking for help.
I have no idea what's going to happen to them because I'm really worried about them. The civilians are dying for no reason every day.
Also tonight in the US, Hurricane Ida slams into the Louisiana coast 16 years to the day since Hurricane Katrina. And
it's a new world record for Hannah Cockcroft.
Hannah Cockcroft wins gold in her third Paralympics.
This is ITV News with Duncan Golestani.
Good evening. The US military says more suicide bombers were headed to Kabul airport today to stage a repeat of Thursday's deadly attack there. But this time they were stopped. An American drone destroyed their vehicle, killing everyone in it and possibly civilians as well. But not long after, we saw why President Biden ordered that strike as he stood on an airbase tarmac shoulder to shoulder with 13 families whose sons and daughters came home today draped in flags. Here's our US correspondent, Emma Murphy.
Beneath the flag of the country they served, in front of the commander-in-chief on whose orders
the
they were
latest
deployed,
with the
they
ITV
came
News.
Home. 13 young servicemen and women who died in their president's quest to end a forever war. He said he was leaving Afghanistan to protect America's military sons and daughters. Out of public view, those whose sons and daughters could not be protected on Thursday watched in a silence punctuated only by sobs. How much those families, other families, and the first family must hope those with the misfortune to be America's latest casualties in Afghanistan will also be the last.
We met with the families of 13 fallen heroes in Afghanistan who lost their lives in the service of our country. And while we're praying for the best in Louisiana, let's keep them in our prayers as well.
The ongoing threat to America's military and to those Afghans seeking to escape was highlighted again today. This the wreckage after an American drone strike on a car said to have been carrying multiple suicide bombers en route to the airport. Those living close by claim a number of civilians were killed. If so, their deaths will add to the dreadful numbers of Afghan dead during this 20-year war. With the state of the country, any hope they will be the latest and the last would be futile. Military sources here in the US say that this is an exceedingly dangerous moment in an exceedingly dangerous situation. And the events of today, the attempted suicide attack and the return of those who were killed in the previous assault have highlighted just how dangerous this situation is. The US should be out of Afghanistan by Tuesday. The President will be hoping with no further casualties. Emma Murphy, ITV News, Washington, DC.
Here, the Prime Minister has offered British veterans of Afghanistan his profound thanks as the UK operation to evacuate Kabul officially ends. The final flights have now left, but the government admits it ran out of time to save hundreds of people, and many of them and their families are still calling for British help tonight. Mark Mallet reports.
On its final approach into RAF Brize Norton, the final evacuation flight out of Afghanistan, marking the end of a 20-year campaign in the country and the end of the largest evacuation mission since the Second World War. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson, in an open letter, thanked the armed forces for their heroic efforts in difficult and hostile circumstances, which had seen the evacuation of thousands of British nationals alongside Afghans who will now start their new lives in the UK. But there's acknowledgement too that many Afghans have been left behind. This man is a refugee now living in the UK, but his wife and children remain stuck in Kabul after being caught up in Friday's bomb blast. We're not showing his face in order to protect his identity.
I'm really worried about them because the Taliban take over and nobody knows what's going to happen to the country and even the people. The civilians are dying for no reason.
Also stuck his brother, who is a UK citizen holding a British passport. Speaking to us from within Afghanistan, he told us how he'd been threatened by the Taliban as he tried to leave.
We were over 10,000 people waiting there. As soon as you get near the door, the Taliban, they start firing. So the people start to run and push. And the Taliban, they came and they said, there's no flights. Everything is cancelled, just go back. He just hit me with his AK-47. Then he said, shame on you, why are you going there?
In scorching heat and under the watchful eye of the Taliban, hundreds of people still gather at Kabul airport, still hoping to escape a new way of life they fear will rob them of everything. Hope is all they have left.
My name is Turiala Ahmed, I'm citizen British,
This man's prized possession, his British passport, expires soon. Now he doesn't know what to do. 15,000 Afghans were evacuated by UK troops over the course of the last 2 weeks. Many will have worked with these men and women who now leave the country knowing others face a very uncertain future. Mark Mallet, ITV News.
Our political correspondent Shihab Khan is here with me now. Shihab, is there anything left the government can do to help those people still in Afghanistan?
Yeah, we've heard from the government for weeks now say that they have a long-term commitment to the people of Afghanistan and those who are eligible to come to the United Kingdom. When I've spoken to cabinet ministers, they've said that the best route out for these people is to try and get to third countries, that's neighbouring countries, and to try, if they are eligible, to come to the UK from there. And work is being done to process them there. Now, tonight, there's been a joint statement that's been signed by the UK government. I counted 100 signatures from governments around the world that have signed it. And it says that the Taliban has provided assurances that people who are eligible can travel to points of departure. If they do allow that, there is potentially routes there. Now, tomorrow, the Foreign Secretary will be meeting with his G7 partners and others, and there'll be other meetings at the UN as well, and they'll be talking about that to put pressure on the Taliban to make sure that happens. The commitment is there, but ultimately, it's up to how the Taliban runs their country now that they're in charge.
Yes. Shihab, thank you. The US state of Louisiana is being battered by one of the most powerful storms on record tonight, with potentially catastrophic winds of 150 miles an hour. Hurricane Ida has made landfall exactly 16 years on from Hurricane Katrina. And once again, New Orleans is braced for destruction. Martin Stew has the latest.
Louisiana is once again in the eye of the storm. Category 4 Hurricane Ida battering the southern state with gusts of wind up to 150 miles an hour.
Emergency services, Jim, have been suspended for now. They cannot get to people who are going to call 911.
It's 16 years to the day Katrina devastated New Orleans. Ida could be more powerful.
This storm is going to maintain Category 4 strength for quite some time.
Whilst thousands have left their homes for shelter inland.
They're scared, of course they're scared. All the hotels are filled up, so you're just riding further and further.
Some have chosen to take their chances.
I'm staying. I did as much as I could yesterday and then left the windows for today.
Others have no choice.
The city cannot issue a mandatory evacuation because we don't have the time.
This part of the country is better prepared. Hospitals already full of COVID patients have brought in backup generators and new flood defences have been secured. But with a 12-foot storm surge so powerful it's making the Mississippi flow upstream, there are fears many barriers will be breached.
If you had to draw up the worst possible path for a hurricane in Louisiana, it would be something very, very close to what we're seeing.
The winds should ease through the night, but it's the 20 inches of rain forecast which will be worrying Americans, hoping and praying history doesn't repeat itself. Martin Stew, ITV News.
Officials in Yemen say at least 30 troops have been killed by a missile and drone attack on a key government military base. A spokesperson said at least 65 others were injured, and the number of dead is likely to rise as rescue teams clear the site. Italian firefighters have been battling a huge fire in a 15-storey tower block in Milan. 70 families live in the building, but remarkably, there have been no injuries. And here, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is self-isolating after she was pinged by the NHS Test and Trace app. The SNP leader said in line with the rules, she's self-isolating until she gets her PCR test results back. And finally, Britain's Paralympians have earned another 5 gold medals in Tokyo. Hannah Cockcroft was among them, setting a new world record in the T34 100 metres. It's the 6th gold of her career and means she now has gold medals from 3 consecutive games. Helen Keenan has more.
Another day at the Paralympics means another world record smashed by Great Britain. Hannah Cockcroft in Tokyo today, searching for her 6th title.
Denigan's looking very strong indeed, but Cockcroft's coming back at her.
And to win her 3rd consecutive T34 100 metre competition.
So special. This medal is so amazing. I think, you know, to win for 3 Paralympic Games in a row is massive, and every single games, the pressure has just got bigger and bigger. Obviously, the class has got stronger, it's got bigger, we've got new girls, and I've just had to keep my eye on that all the time and outperform them.
It was a historic victory in the wheelchair rugby. Great Britain looking for their first Paralympic gold in the sport, taking on the champions, the USA.
Great Britain are the Paralympic champions.
The scoreline staying tight for much of the match, but Britain sealing the deal in the final quarter with a 54-49 victory.
British star is shining.
Elsewhere, GB's Lauren Steadman won gold in the PTS 5 triathlon.
She always believed she could become a Paralympic champion, and she's done it.
I don't think I actually realised the impact of what I would feel when I crossed that line if I managed to achieve the title today. And it kind of just, I wasn't going to celebrate until I'd crossed that line, because I know that in triathlon anything can happen.
And GB made their mark in the men's race too, with George Peasgood picking up a silver. In the water, it was a double gold for Britain in the rowing events. PR2 mixed doubles sculls pair, Lauren Rolls and Lawrence Whiteley, are already the reigning world and European champions. Today, they defended them.
It's Great Britain winning the gold medal again.
Followed by more glory with the PR3 mixed Cox 4 team also taking gold. On day 5, Paralympics GB now only second to China in the medals table. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
And finally, some great news from Tokyo for Afghanistan's only female Paralympian. We filmed with Taekwondo competitor Zakia Hudadadi last Sunday in Kabul when she'd been refused evacuation and thought her dream of making it to the Games was gone. But since then, she and fellow athlete Hossein Rassouli were evacuated to France and have now arrived in Japan. The Paralympic Committee said their arrival sends out a strong message of hope. And that is it from the Weekend team. Thank you very much for watching and good night.